Call this meeting of the Tucker County Board of Education into session. All board members are present. Will you please stand and accept the pledge of allegiance? Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Always know the Tucker Valley.
Bird site.
We have public comments. No student delegations. We're down with Tucker Valley CTE. Let's see that's
Okay, ready? Okay, we are here tonight to talk to you about a project that came out of me going to the Innovative Grant Symposium in Morgantown. And one of the things that a couple of schools were doing was doing bees at their school as part of the CTE program. And I came back to Courtney and I said, hey, Court, I think this is a fun thing. I've had bees at the house myself. And I said, if you want to try this, we'll go for a grant. And so we wrote up a grant. Unfortunately, we did not receive that grant, but then we had CTE money. And Courtney said, well, let's go for it. And so we wanted to let you know what we've done, where we're at, and explain how we're protecting the students, how we're protecting the staff and things like that.
So with CTE Middle School, it's really a goal of mine to get more like hands-on projects. So it's really a struggle at Tucker Valley because we don't have like the equipment and that kind of stuff that the high school does. And then also find something that the high school is not doing because they're all into everything. So when Ms. Ball said, "Hey, let's look at some apiaries," I was like, "Okay, as long as you're gonna help me, jump in a bee suit and we're gonna do this together." And she's like, "Yeah, I'll help you out. I've had bees before," so I was like, "Sure." So last week we were out there looking like marshmallows with our white little bee suits on, and we're really fortunate right now because Paul Poling is mentoring us and he wants to help out as much as he can.
Yes.
And
Well, that's where the bees are.
So that was like our first obstacle that we encountered was like, where are we gonna house these bees at? Like, where's the best location on our property? So we started talking to Paul and he's like, I've kept bees literally beside the school property line for years and have never had any problems whatsoever. So my recommendation is right beside the property line. And we're like, okay, so his used to set right here and 5 feet over, now ours sit. So it's been a true blessing to have Paul be able to like answer any questions that we have. We've been able to get some equipment off of him. His goal is to retire, so he wants to be like involved with school and he wants to be more hands-on. So I'm really thankful that we kind of like came up with this little group of beekeepers.
Yeah, we're trying.
Yeah.
So he came in the other day and he called me and we were going to putting out the bees until after testing because we didn't want any big things going on. And when I called down and I texted him and I said, I think we're going to put it off until then. Well, his wife immediately sent me a text and said, you need to call ASAP. Paul needs to talk to you. So I called back to him and he said, we need to install these bees now. The honey flow is starting next week. He says, because all the trees are starting to blossom and the first honey flow that comes on is the poplar trees. So as the poplars start coming out, the honey is going to go absolutely wild because the bees go to the poplar trees and take all the pollen and everything that it needs. So he said, we can't wait. The other thing is they were, the beehives in the spring, they try to make new queens and then they swarm. And when they swarm, they are the most docile things. I can go up and pick them up with just a bare hand because they are protecting their queen. So he said, but you don't want them to swarm because there goes your queen, and then your bees are not going to make any honey. So we had to get in there. They had to double check, kill out any of the queen cells that were in there and get it ready to go. And then every 10 days, we need to check those. So one of the things that Courtney and I have already talked about is we will not work the bees during school hours. So if we need to go down and check on, make sure the queen cells are there, that they're doing fine, that they're eating enough, they're making honey and doing all that, we'll do it after school hours for until everybody gets situated. One of our goals is to have a bee club. that could meet after school and teach some of these children to work the bees. We have bought suits for kids suits, and adult size suits. So if any of you would like to come up and join us, you're more than welcome to come up and go out and go through our bees. I did ask Mr. Buck if he wanted me to get him one, and he said, "No, thank you." And so, and Courtney said, if down the road here I do decide to retire, 10 years from now, she will bring me back, and she will make me a little path on the way down there that I could bring my wheelchair and help her. So, so we're in this for a long time. So.
Yeah. My goal, so like in class, I see 5th through 8th grade in the morning. So the goal would be is we would process honey during school hours. So obviously they're not going to be around the bees, Miss Falls and myself, and I'm going to recruit my husband a little bit of muscles because those frames can weigh over like 100 pounds. So it's pretty heavy after a while. So once we get them back up to the school, obviously there would be no bees, and then can go through the process. And then the goal is to make honey sticks and bottled honey, and then also do some chapstick and candles and get into the wax melting stuff eventually, kind of grow as we go. But eventually my also goal is I want kids to be able to take this project and be able to apply it at home and maybe start their own business, because CTE, we want them to like get this life skill and be able to like carry it outside of school. So that's my goal. So when I think about it, I want them to know that agriculture isn't just livestock and crops. It can do this too. You don't have to live on a farm. That you can do this pretty much anywhere. So that's one of my major goals. Another thing that I'm going to talk about myself for a second, that we do, that I try to expose to students, is we tag monarch butterflies every fall. I try to find them, we raise them, and then we tag them just because they're on a decline. So I try to show students like, hey, science is majorly involved with this. You can be into agriculture and not just have to have, the spear at the fair. Like there's so much technology, there's so many different like aspects of agriculture that it can be for anyone. So I'm really hoping that my little bugs can inspire some of these students that, hey, when I go to the high school, I do want to take Mr. Pennington's classes. There might be something else that I can learn. So that's my goal too, is just to help the program continue to build at high school.
One of the programs that we were looking at is in Washington, PA, at one of the schools up there. And they have taken it into their high school as well. They started it in their middle school with the apiaries, and then they have taken it to their high school biology classes. And they're artificially inseminating queen bees. Now, a queen, yes, and that's what we were saying,
I'm just laughing. Yeah.
but yeah, I didn't know that you could do that. And so they were explaining that they were trying to make a bee that was resistant, more resistant of some of the things, the pesticides and the things that are getting them. And yeah, and so so it can even be taken farther, if this thing, goes as well. The other thing is we would like to sell the honey, and we need to, I've already talked to Tracy about how that's all going to be, if it's going to be a fundraiser because of all this. We don't have to worry about sales tax, because at least on the honey, we will on the candles and things, and we've talked about that as well. But I already have places up on the mountain that want to carry our honey from the school. So it will be out there. It will be able to be funneled back into her program, and then that way, that money coming back to her, she can expand with more things. So.
Do you guys have any questions about what we're doing?
I do. How do you tag the butterfly?
It's actually just a little tiny sticker, and you have to put it on one of their cells on their wings, and you just press very, very lightly, but hard enough that it'll stick. Yeah. So it's really cool to try to track them and see if they can make it to Mexico.
Let's see how far you go.
Most of the time, we don't catch like the whole super generation because there's multiple generations of butterflies, but most of the time they'll make it down to like Texas, and then they reproduce, and then they end up going further down into Mexico. So that's really cool to do.
That is cool. I know when Maddie was growing up, we went to, not Provaz, maybe it was Provaz, and they had these little containers. They also had the worms and stuff in there. They turned into caterpillars and then monarch butterflies. They had the cakes, and I made her let them go, and she was mad at me. You know, I thought it was good that she watched them.
Yeah,
And a lot of our elementary classes do that in the fall. It's been harder and harder to find caterpillars here.
yeah. for
I
sure.
mean,
This year,
it's,
like this last year, I only had one. So it was like.
and we used to be able to go out just in our backyards and grab them everywhere. And it has to do with pesticides and, and those kinds of things. And as we know, with the decline of the honeybees, and the pollination, we lose the honeybees, we're in big trouble. And that's a whole nother thing that we will get into and talk about, you know, preserving these types of things, so.
Their third grade class had monarch butterflies, they bought from Amazon.
Yeah.
They had a big cage, and had them in a chrysalis and.
I didn't realize you could buy them from Amazon.
Well, they also raise
Yeah.
monarchs in a controlled environment for, like for weddings and things like that, so. Yeah, I saw that in a Hallmark movie. That's where I learned that from.
We're finding out everything.
Yeah.
That's true.
Any other questions about the bees? Just one other thing, we are taking, every precaution. I've already talked to Mrs. Lambert about, anybody who is going to be working with the bees will have to sign a waiver. And the waiver, once we get that all, put together, will go through and be vetted by our lawyers, just to make sure that everything is covered. I also talked to the state of West Virginia Agriculture this last week, and they have a protocol on things that you need to do to be the safest with bees, to keep people from getting stung. And it also helps with your liability. And so we will be following all of them. It's putting up fences around it, making sure that there's a sign there that states that, you know, this is a bee apiary, please, you know, do not enter, that kinds of things. And we'll do everything on those lists to make sure that everything is safe. And if we have an issue with them, then we will relocate them to wherever we have to make this happen, so.
So Paul does the bee beard, those bug beard.
We should do
What is
that.
I think that would be
I
great.
Put
think
bees
that-
on them?
Yeah, that would be a great
Well done.
fundraiser.
I thought you were gonna make some bee, like beard balm or something.
We could do that too. but-
No, all you have to
I'm
be
allergic
honest,
to bees, I don't know.
all you have to do on that is to take the queen in a little, what they call a queen cage. And if you ever have seen pictures of people that are totally covered, they have the queen right here, you know, or they put the queen here, and then everybody that smells of pheromones, there we go, and they just cover them. And they're not harming because they're trying to find the queen to do that. Remember, honeybees, if they sting, they're dead, so they really don't want to sting you, you know. So I keep trying to get him. I keep trying.
I might be dead too.
Yeah. Oh, no, and, oh, that's the other thing. We will have an EpiPen on site, as well as, yes, the clinic's aware of what we're doing. We will have an EpiPen on site, and, we also have the little things that you can put on them when you get stung, just a normal person, if you get stung. And we told the kids that if you're out and are going to work the bees, you probably will get stung, you know, at some point. We will do everything possible. We have full bee suits for the kids, down to goat gloves, you know, goat skin gloves. And so you kind of enjoy this. They really weren't bad. I mean, when you were,
No.
I kept pushing her over towards the hives going, and you gotta go over there and get around them a little bit more, just to make sure that she felt a little bit comfortable with them, and they just didn't do anything, so. Yeah, smoke them a little bit, and
Oh, another thing I'd like to do, hopefully this fall, there's a conference for farm to school. I'm really hoping that I'll be able to
Oh,
go
yeah.
to it so that we can get some of this honey into our kitchens and hopefully make some honey cornbread. That's my favorite. So
yeah,
I'm hoping for chili day. I'm really chili day.
so we're, yeah. we have lots of big ideas, so.
Sounds good.
Thank you, that's
Thank
awesome. That's awesome.
Wonderful.
Any other questions for him?
And we will, once we go ahead and get the first honey off, we were told that we could get as many as 116 frames by the second week of June. That's a lot. So, and that'll give us time to work it up and try to make sure that all the machines are working correctly and how we're doing it. And then we bought Little Bears, so, one other thing, I keep forgetting. One other thing we're gonna do is we got an observation hive. So we can go take a frame, put it in the observation hive and take it into the classrooms. And what we would like to see ultimately is the kids
Like my older students be able
to go into the elementaries and bring the bees, talk to them about them, and then even have them do some spinning. And then we bought little tiny 2-ounce bottles, and we will send the honey home with the kids that of the stuff that they spun out. So we thought that would be really fun for the little ones as well. So you can tell I'm a little passionate about this, but
That's good.
so
Thank you very much.
It's a lot. It's interesting to me, I like it.
well, good, thank you.
So we're down to reports, there's nothing on reports, information items, discussion items, school progress.
Oh, why not? I'm not going anywhere. Yeah.
So that is on here for you all to discuss. If you remember the last meeting, we talked about setting aside $50,000 per year for each of the 3 buildings for them to do a special project or something at their designation that they designated school that they wanted to do. And we put this on here so that you all could discuss it. I told you that my recommendation, which is on here later for an action item, but if we want to change it during the discussion, we can totally do that. But my recommendation was going to be for Tucker Valley to be first, because that should put them over the top for their bleacher project. And then rotate from Tucker Valley to Davis Thomas to the high school. The high school is currently getting SBA funds for the septic system and all of that going on. Davis Thomas most recently had all their doors replaced. The high school had their doors replaced. And while Davis Thomas does have some bathroom issues in terms of aesthetics, they function. So they could use, for sure, a nice little visual update, but they do function. Tucker Valley's bleachers at this point do not function. So
There's a
for,
safety issue.
yeah, so for me, that renders higher on the need level. They've also been fundraising for this project for a very long time. So that's why that's my recommendation. But you all are free to discuss and decide if you want to do it differently. That's completely fine as well. I'm just excited that we are in a place that we can do this for each of our schools.
Any questions, discussions, questions, comments? I like that idea myself.
No,
I think we
yeah.
discussed it pretty much.
Yeah, I think that's the
Get
direction
the
we
bleachers
travel
finished.
in that.
Davis Thomas.
And I've met with the principals and I've explained to them as well that was going to be my recommendation. So that, if Tucker Valley knows that this is going to be their money and we'll issue it, it's not like it will go to them, but whatever they order for this project will then pay in code. But they can do that as of July 1. So we can get these bleachers, get them installed over the
I was
summer
gonna
and
say,
have
is
them
there a
ready to
possibility
go.
that project can be finished before school?
Yes, we hope so, if we can get moving on it. And then, we'll give Davis Thomas a year to know, okay, this is how much we have, this is how much we need to do our bathrooms, if that's the project they want to use it for. And so it gives them a year to get their quotes, to get everything in line that they need to do. And then next July 1, they can be rolling too. And then so forth for the high school. So that's kind of our plan for how we want to do that. And so our plan is to do one cycle, and then we will revisit what our financial situation looks like after that. But we feel comfortable that we can get through all 3 schools with the $50,000 allocation for that, as we were putting forward for doors before.
So we're down to attendance exceptions, there's none. Consent agenda, a motion to approve the consent agenda,
So moved.
second.
Second.
Any questions on the minutes of the previous meetings? Payment of bills? I'll see field trip request. And use of transportation. All in favor? Passes 5-0.
I do want to make a quick note. Harry was informed today that beginning July 1, we will not be able to issue our buses out to outside entities for transportation use. And no one in the state will be able to do that anymore, unless it serves our kids.
Does that be through school or?
So like this one, 4-H students, if there are 4-H students, we can do that. If it's just an outside entity, like say Main Valley wants to use it for a wedding and somebody is requesting busing for transportation from a wedding site to a reception site, we can no longer do
The
that.
Highland Trails race.
Right. So that again begins July 1. That's to my knowledge, it's a new rule. But it's the state and they're coming through and letting everyone know that we're not going to be.
So does that include existing MOUs with like emergency services?
That I don't know. I would have to question that. But he just mentioned it to me
Those
today.
would only be in mass evacuations due
Right.
to a disaster, like that wouldn't be just because they want to go on a field
Because you
trip.
want to take field trip.
What about people that's already asked and we have approved it
It's after July
and it's
1st.
after July 1st?
I don't, because I asked him if he wanted me to take this one off, and he said, no, we can do it until July 1st. Do we have any that we've approved after? Because he said the only ones we had approved were our
I
students.
know we have some. but I'm not sure.
Yeah,
This
he's-
is our 4-H students, so that would matter.
Yeah, that, it wouldn't matter because it's our 4-H students, but like, I know we got another request, recently that I'm not sure was for our students.
Is this tied into a bill that was passed over the session?
I
Did I miss
don't really
something?
know. It came about too, he sent me a new policy today. Like there's a new drug testing policy, there's it's a lot of things through transportation, so I'm not real clear on where it all came from. But we have to have this new policy in effect, so it'll be on the next agenda as well, because he didn't get it to me until today. And then he said, well, I have everybody that's been getting, they have like a kind of a transportation audit happening currently, and we're supposed to get the guys soon. He's telling them that they can't take these trips unless we want to do the paperwork to be some sort of charter, and he said that we absolutely do not want to do that. But as long as it's our kids, we can still approve the transportation. It's just for entities that want to use our buses that aren't for our kids, that we would not be allowed to do that. But I will check on the MOUs for emergency services. I'll check with them about that.
So we're down to personnel.
All right, professional resignations and retirements. We recommend the following action as presented. Amy Moore, retirement as 7th, 8th grade science teacher at TDMS, effective June 30th, 2025.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
discussion? All in favor? Passes 5-0.
Under service resignations and retirements, we have 2. Are you going to take these together? Okay. We recommend the following action as presented. Bernard Bowen, resignation as chief mechanic / bus operator, effective May 2nd, 2025. And Brent Hahn, resignation as substitute custodian, effective April 21st, 2025.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
discussion?
We had offered the position to another applicant today, or last week. He called us today and told us he would not be taking it. So we're going to be reposting the chief mechanic position.
All in favor? Passes 5-0.
Under extracurricular resignations and retirements, we have Christine O'Brien, resignation as middle school golf coach at DTEMS and TDEMS effective April 23rd, 2025.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
discussion. All in favor? Passes 5-0.
Okay, under professional employment, we have none. Under service employment, we have 5. Does anybody have any?
I'm good.
I'm good.
Okay. All those are good. All right, are we good to take them together?
Yes, good.
We recommend the following action as presented. Cassandra Keplinger, long-term substitute, special needs / supervisory / transportation aide at TCHS, effective May 6th until the return of the regular employee. Cindy Lipscomb, long-term substitute, ECAT, transportation aide at TDEMS, effective May 6th until the end of the 24-25 school year. Mitch McClure, substitute custodian, effective with the 24-25 school year. Craig Thompson, substitute custodian, effective with the 24-25 school year, pending background check. And Meredith Smith, substitute secretary and aide, effective with the 24-25 school year.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second, discussion. All in favor? Passes 5-0.
Okay, now we're down to extracurricular employment.
Number 7, I got
Number
that.
7, I'll move him to the bottom. Is everybody good? If I just move number 7 to the
Yep.
bottom? Yes. Okay, do them all but 7 and we'll take him last, all right? All right, the superintendent recommends following action as presented. This is going to be a mouthful, so stick with me, okay? Alicia Winans, elementary teacher, summer school, effective June 16th through July 25th, 2025, pending funding. Kim Oldecker, elementary teacher, summer school, effective June 6th through July 25th, pending funding. Kim McCrum, site coordinator, teacher, summer school, effective June 13th through July 25th, 2025, pending funding. Teresa Bettler, site coordinator, teacher, summer school, effective June 13th through July 25th, 2025, pending funding. Nita Helmick, secondary site coordinator, teacher, summer school, effective June 13th through July 25th, 2025, pending funding. Julie Davis, secondary site coordinator, BLA teacher, summer school, effective June 13th through July 25th, 2025, pending funding. Melissa Bonner, secondary site coordinator, math teacher, summer school, effective June 13th through July 25th, 2025, pending funding. Carol Pennington, special needs supervisory / transportation aide, summer school, effective June 16th through July 25th, 2025, pending funding. Melissa Pace, special needs supervisory transportation aide, summer school, effective June 16th through July 25th, 2025, pending funding. Angie Nestor, substitute teacher, summer school, effective June 16th through July 25th, 2025, pending funding. Courtney Nestor, substitute teacher, summer school, effective June 16th through July 25th, 2025, pending funding. Rochelle Cackley, substitute teacher, summer school, effective June 16th through July 25th, 2025, pending funding. Grace Snyder, Cook, summer school, effective June 16th through July 26th, 2025, pending funding. Caitlin Falls, Cook, summer school, effective June 16th, July 26th, 2025, pending funding. Harry Poling, bus operator, summer school, effective June 16th through July 25th, 2025, pending funding. Clayton Price, bus operator, summer school, effective June 16th through July 25th, 2025, pending funding. Karen Ball, bus operator, summer school, effective June 16th through July 25th, 2025, pending funding. And Marcy Heb cheerleading coach, Tucker Valley Elementary Middle School, beginning with the 2025 season.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
You need to repeat all that.
Please no.
I'm sorry, I didn't know that.
All in favor? Passes 5-0.
I do need to just make a note really quickly. All of these say pending funding at the end of them, and you've probably not seen that before. That's because some documentation was sent out today from the State Department that President Trump's skinny budget is looking at cutting all of 21st Century Grant for his 26 fiscal year budget. So if they cut all of the grant is what pays for our summer school and it pays for our after school program. I believe that we will be fine for 2025 fiscal year, which is what we're in. But if something happens that we're not fine, that's why all these positions are now tied saying pending funding.
When do you know for sure?
There's a call to action tomorrow, that they're asking everybody to, contact Congress and make it known why we need to keep these programs. I can see them stopping a program from continuing funding. I don't really understand the legality of taking it back once it's been awarded. We've been awarded the 21st Century Grant for 5 years. It's a 5-year grant. So I'm not really sure what that would look like. But, just in a precaution, that's why it says pending funding. I believe that would be fine for the 2025 school year, for our summer school program, but that's why.
There's the story.
Yes,
Hopefully you have it.
yes. Okay, Chopper has recused himself, so now we recommend the following action as presented. Josh Evans, secondary site coordinator, math teacher, summer school, effective June 13th through July 25th, 2025, pending funding.
Got a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Chopper, you can come back.
Nothing on you, huh? Okay. Nothing on policies, nothing on finance. You got new business?
We're gonna skip, A, as it was acted on in our,
Doesn't have to make an official vote afterwards for the-
do we still have to do it publicly?
I mean, we see what we voted, so I guess it was just.
You have to vote
back.
You
again.
don't need to vote again, just-
You can't change your vote.
Right. So do you want to do that or do you want me to do that?
If you don't say it, it's not on the record.
So you gotta just say, yeah.
Okay. So in our hearing, we recommended and voted 5-0 for the expulsion of student A for 365 days for violation of the Safe Schools Act, effective May 6, 2025.
Now down funding and cycle for school projects.
Yes. So again, this is just the funding cycle that we're looking at for the $50,000 allotment to each of the 3 buildings. So my recommendation is for the approval of the following item as presented: $50,000 funding for school-specific projects on a rotational basis for the next 3 years. Fiscal year 26 to TDEMS, fiscal year 27 to DTEMS, and fiscal year 28 to TCHS.
Good motion.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
discussion?
I think it's wonderful. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
ready to do this.
Yeah.
All in favor? That's 5-0.
And we think it's wonderful too.
Thank you all
I
very,
am
very
so
much.
tired of fundraising right now.
I'm just not ready to do that.
Yeah,
Yes, thank you.
Get more.
it's wonderful.
Yes, sir.
12.5 cents at a time. guys.
We already have an approved vendor, so we don't even have to
I
mess
think
with bids and all that stuff. so-
out of my change.
Oh, no, we have lockers to get, guys.
Good job, guys.
Thank you.
I know you worked hard to get what
Yeah, we
you did.
appreciate all the work you've done to get it to the point where we can put you over the top, because there was a lot of work that went into it for what we just did tonight.
This falls as a fundraising machine.
Literally machines.
Appreciate her so much, absolutely.
We're down to calendar events. Looking at board members of countywide, Tucker Valley is having an 8th grade promotion at 9 o'clock in the morning on June 2nd. That's just for students, appreciation student 8th grade day. Davis Thomas will be May 28th at 6 p.m. The
Are they
high
having
school-
like a graduation?
They'll have their normal ceremony, yeah.
The high school will have the graduation on the 23rd with baccalaureate will be the 22nd.
I'm assuming, I know they're gonna have their CTE separate
Yeah.
from their baccalaureate this year, is to make that night not so long.
Yeah.
But the day that they had scheduled for the CTE awards is now the same day as the chamber dinner.
Oh, well.
And so we have some kids that it's overlapping with, so, we're waiting for, Mr. Shahan to tell us if they're going to keep that date or change that date, but I'll let you know, as soon as that date is set.
Next regular meeting of Taylor County Board of Education will be held on Monday, May 19th, beginning at 4:30 PM at the board office. Mission to adjourn. Second.
Second.
All right, you're good.
Also, just a heads up, Tracy's budget will be due, at the end of the month. I don't know that that she will be ready by the 19th meeting because we still don't have federal program numbers, for the budget. So, she might be asking for an additional